Hello everyone, my name is Makeda Voletta, also known as the Body Scientist and Queen Lioness. And I'm here today to talk to you about Yoni eggs. If you are not familiar with me or my work, you can check out my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81, and my blog, thebodyscientist.com, but I do have several videos and documents I've written on the topic of Yoni eggs. So in this video, I'm just going to discuss the history of Yoni eggs as I know it, okay? And if you're not sure what Yoni eggs are, they are eggs made from stones or crystals that we insert internally into our vaginal canal to help strengthen our vaginal muscles and our womb. And I'm not going to get, so you can look at my intro video and my other videos on the topic. But a lot of people ask me like how I began this journey. I've been working with Yoni eggs for 10 years now, and I've been teaching women for 8 years. And in 2005, I started working with men, teaching men about the Taoist practices of strengthening and cultivating sexual energy, and I then came across, there was a conference at Columbia University. I was in graduate school there at Teachers College back in 2004, 2005. And there was a 3-day conference on traditional African spirituality, and with a whole bunch of different topics all day long. And in the program, there was supposed to be a workshop on jade eggs by Dr. Sunyata Amen, who is in DC. And I saw that on the program, and she ended up not showing up that day, so the workshop didn't happen. I was like really looking forward to it, and so I went and Googled it, or maybe Google wasn't around in 2005, I don't know, but I did look it up on the internet. And there were a few websites about it, and they had very little information. Like all the sites had the same information, and they also drilled jade, and so it made sense to me because I have a background in sports science. I'm a personal trainer. My degree's in exercise and sports science, so I understand muscle physiology and how muscles work, and it just made sense to me when I read about it. So I ordered one and just started working with it immediately. And back then, I didn't know anybody really that knew about this, and I didn't have people to talk to. I just, started using it. It made sense to me. That was in 2005. So from 2005 to 2007, I worked with it very periodically. Like I might work with it a few times a month and then forget about it for a few months, and just very sporadic. And from that, I noticed major changes. Like my orgasms got a lot more intense, even though I never had a problem with that, but they got more intense. And I could feel like I was stronger, even though I was already strong. I ran track in college. I was always lifting weights and stuff like that also strengthens the vaginal muscles and these internal core muscles. So I was already strong, but I could feel that I got stronger. And my menstrual cycles got a lot shorter. They used to be longer and heavier, and they got shorter and lighter. And so whatever it was that I experienced in those 2 years, I felt like I need to teach other women. And I put together a fitness class called Sensual Strength Training. And that class had 3 components. Part of it was egg work and learning how to manipulate the egg and do different exercises with it, both energetic and physical. The other part was using dances from the African diaspora, Afro-American dances, Afro-Caribbean dances, Congolese-derived dances, which involve a lot of hip movement, shaking, and manipulation, to get women to connect to their bodies, to connect to their hips, to be able to move and control your hips. Because it's one thing to have a strong core. It's another thing to be able to control your core. It's one thing to have a strong body. It's another thing to be able to control your body, okay? So the dancing helps you to get control. So does egg work. Egg work helps to strengthen and get control. And the third part of the class is strength training for the whole body, learning how to do squats properly, push-ups, back exercises, learning why it's important to use resistance. Bodyweight exercise is not enough. If you really want to get stronger, be more explosive, increase lean body mass, bodyweight exercises are great, but they have their place, but so does strength training. And strength training happens with resistance, okay? And a lot of women I found, being a trainer, I've been a trainer for 15 years, And I have noticed that a lot of women, most women, if not practically all the women that I've come in contact with, they're afraid of lifting weights. They all tell me they have a 5-pound dumbbell at home. Even the ones that have babies and are carrying babies around, they'll tell me, oh, I have 5-pound dumbbells. And it's like, if you can carry a baby around, if you can carry heavy kids and babies around, you can definitely lift more than 5 pounds. And it's just like this ridiculous thing that so many women think that if they lift weights, they're going to get big and bulky and manly, which is not true. And I have a video on here about my sensual strength training technique and class on YouTube. So I started teaching that class in 2007. Once I started teaching that class, like back then, the person that had influenced me the most, I started reading like everything I could about Yoni eggs, and it wasn't much written. All of it had come from Montauk Chia. So I read Montauk Chia stuff, and then there was a woman named Saida in Hawaii. I read her book, and I thought that her book was the best because it made more sense than Montauk Chia, which was very like technical and like a manual. And for the first 3 years I taught my class, from 2007 to 2010, I didn't sell eggs. I recommended that all my students get them from Saida. She only sold jade, and she only sold drilled jade, and she only sold one size. And I remember her telling me that she felt like that was the best size that woman needed, based on, I don't know, something. And she definitely studied with Montauk Chia. I know that Sunyata Amin, from what I know, did too, but I never took any of her workshops or anything like that. And I created my own approach to it. As I started teaching women, I myself started experimenting with different eggs and stones. Like I would just be in different cities, and especially New Orleans, and stop into a crystal store and see a bloodstone egg, or see a golden tiger's eye egg, or rose quartz, or lapis lazuli, amazonite. And I just started working with them, different eggs and sizes and stones on my own. And at the time, I didn't know anybody else that was doing that. Maybe they were, but I didn't know. Like, the only thing I saw is people selling jade and drilled jade, okay? But I didn't talk to my students about that. I didn't tell them that I was working with undrilled eggs and different stones and crystals. I just told them to get jade. And inside this book, she talks about how she didn't recommend for people to work with, for women to work with rose quartz or obsidian until they have been working with them for years, working with jade for years. And her reasoning had to do with a personal experience of somebody giving her an obsidian egg and her having a weird reaction to it. So she concluded that it was too powerful for people. So because I really respected her and her research and her work, I basically followed that until I was in Costa Rica teaching in 2010. And when I came to Costa Rica, it was the women of Costa Rica that brought me there. It wasn't a bunch of Americans going to Costa Rica. It was Costa Rican women. There were a few people from the U.S. that came, but it was people that lived there, native Costa Ricans. And there were a few women that took my workshop that they came back with obsidian eggs. Well, first of all, let me go back. I started selling eggs in 2010 because when I went to Costa Rica, the woman who brought me there told me that it was hard for them to get eggs there, and she begged me to bring some. And I wasn't really interested in selling eggs. I just wanted to teach women, you know. And so I really started searching for a good source of jade eggs back then to bring to Costa Rica for the women there. And that started the search. So I went to Costa Rica in 2010 and taught in 2 different parts of the country, Costa Rican women. Then I met one woman who took my workshop, brought me back later that year in 2010. And she showed me this really cool gold sheen obsidian egg that she got from a shaman friend of hers, and in Mexico. And so I was like, you know, I loved them, and I was kind of hesitant because of what I thought about obsidian. But also when I came there in 2010 in the summer, there was a woman who took my class who just on their own came back with obsidian eggs. Like it was a 4-day class, and they came back with obsidian, and they didn't, nothing negative happened to them. They had really profound experiences and meditations, and I thought, okay, well maybe it's only Costa Rican women that can handle this obsidian because there's volcanoes in Costa Rica. And I thought maybe it was too much for American women because I was still going by like, you know, what I had read in Zaida's book. So then, also summer 2010, I taught a class in Brooklyn, and there was a woman in my class who had been working with eggs for some years, and she told me, oh no, I work with obsidian all the time, like no problem, I don't have any problems. So hearing her say that, and then my experience in Costa Rica, by the end of 2010, when my friend had these beautiful gold sheen obsidian eggs that she got from the shaman in Mexico, I was interested. So I brought back 10 of them. And that's when I started first selling obsidian eggs. And I started to notice, like, from that and some other experiences that I've had, that I personally don't believe that it's a one size fits all. I don't believe that everybody should work with the same stone or everybody has to do it this way. I've noticed over the years of me teaching or working with women that different women gravitate towards different stones and crystals. There's no right or wrong answer. Some women start with obsidian, some women start with jade, some start with rose quartz, lapis, whatever. And even the sizes. I don't agree that there's one size that you should start with. I do think that small eggs are more advanced, and you really should not work with them until you're able to sense the egg, feel the vibration of the egg, move the egg. And I talk about that in my egg basics video and my Yoni exercises video. And so I also noticed from teaching that a lot of women would tell me that they had eggs for, like, somebody gave them an egg 2 years ago, or they had a jade egg for a few years, or they went to Senyata's workshop and, conference and got an egg. So a lot of people told me that they got eggs, from different places, but they weren't really working with them. They might have worked with them once or twice and stopped. And I realized that as a trainer, as a dancer, and a fitness professional, a lot of people want quick results. Like, people are not willing to put in the work over years. When you see an amazing dancer on stage, when you go see Avanelli, when you see Olympians, when you see Venus and Serena, that wasn't built in a couple classes, a couple workouts. That wasn't built in a couple years. That was years of persistence and training. And most people are too lazy for that. They just want something quick and not that painful. And if it doesn't happen super fast and they think it doesn't work and they give up. That's one of my biggest frustrations working in fitness, is that. So I noticed, but I also noticed that people need, when people have other support and they see other people's progress and hear their stories, and especially with women, I noticed the group dynamic. Women who took my classes, they would share so much, they would become friends, and this group of women who would take a class, they'd be friends for years after that. So I realized, like, how that could be helpful, and so I decided to start a secret group on Facebook for women, for people that work with eggs, to talk about it and to share stories and ask questions. From the beginning, that group was founded in 2012. So from the beginning, I've always felt like it was important for men to be in the group too. The group is mostly women, but the male perspective is important because, for example, like, there's so much I've learned about Yoni eggs that is not in any of the books that I've read. And so in the book that I'm writing, I am talking about those things. There's many, many topics that's not covered in the stuff that has been written yet. There's things that I've discovered completely on my own, from my own experience and from teaching women. Again, it's been 10 years of me working with these eggs. So there's a whole lot to say. And I'm not going to get into it too much now in this video because I'm saving that for my book. Because I definitely have noticed, certain people copying certain things. I'm not the first to sell Yoni eggs. I'm not the only one. And it's great that I see so many people now selling them. However, I think that, it's good to have your own approach. Like, I have a completely different approach and way of doing it than Montauk Chia or other people that I knew at the time, who only sold jade, only sold drilled, and only did a few other things that I will say for my book. And I didn't know anybody that was selling, like, multiple eggs at the time. I mean, different types of stones and crystals. And as the years have gone by, I've definitely seen people who, like, had taken my classes or, were in my group selling Yoni eggs, and that's fine. But the issue for me is when, I've seen people take the same titles of my stuff. Like, I wrote a document called Egg Basics on my blog back in, like, 2011, 2012. And I've seen 2 videos on YouTube called Yoni Egg Basics that have come out after me. And my first egg video was called Intro to the Cosmic Egg, and another person made a video, Intro to the Cosmic Yoni Egg, and used my photos with my hands in it and my egg pictures. So that I'm not cool with. I just feel like people don't, copy, do your own thing. But it seems that a lot of people just think that they can just get crystal eggs and sell them. And it's one thing to sell eggs, it's another thing to have a clear understanding and to be able to teach people how to work with them. And I've had clients with a variety of different issues and backgrounds. And so things that I have not seen written about in any book, So a lot of what I know does not come from any of the books that I've read. Even with Montauk Chia, I don't even agree with everything that he says and does. And I study a lot of Native American stuff too. And there's a lot of wisdom in Mexico, for example, in Peru. And I always intuitively felt that the Taoists, which are the ones that have documented the practice of using jade eggs, and the Taoists talk about jade and obsidian. Those are the two they speak about. But the Mayans also highly regard jade and obsidian, okay? And that's where I get my jade and obsidian from Mexico, from a shaman in Mexico. His wife took my class in Costa Rica, so they know exactly what it's being used for. Him and his wife work as a team. And I've been to Costa Rica like 4 times teaching Native Costa Rican women. And I always intuitively felt like it wasn't just a Taoist. And so I've done my own research, and I'm also a dancer. And there's things that I've learned from doing like Haitian dance and from looking at ancient art. There is evidence of egg use in different parts of the world. And I will talk about that in my book. And there are certain things with energy fields that I've learned from dancing and from studying native red medicine, native ways of doing things, that is similar but a little bit different to the Chinese and Taoist. So I've incorporated that into my practice and what I teach people. So really, it's a sum of a lot of things that has nothing to do with the things that I've read. And I just encourage anybody else who wants to do this, you know, to have your own experiences and to do your own research. Because a lot of people I see are not really doing research, they're just copying and taking information. But I just want to say that I don't think that it's just a Taoist that works with Yoni eggs. What I've come to find in my research, I study a lot of ancient art, and you find the same things in every continent. Like, everybody used incense, okay, to cleanse energy and cleanse the energy fields. Every culture has some type of incense, but it's different. Every culture uses drums. In Asia, in Europe, in Africa, Native Americans, Polynesians, everybody has drums that communicate with and talk to spirits. And they may be made from different animal skin, but they're all made from some type of animal skin and some type of tree. Some will play with sticks, some will play with hands, some will play standing, some will play sitting, but everybody has drums to call the spirits. The rhythms are different, but we all have drums. Okay, so since I've commonly found these same things, like the snake and egg symbol, or snakes in trees and snakes on poles, that is found in every culture since the beginning of time. And that goes back to a lot of the bird and snake goddesses. And so the bird goddesses, the bird goddess and snake goddesses are very important. And this video is already 18 minutes, so I'm gonna stop talking soon. I don't want to say too much because it's in my book. That's almost done. Almost done. Almost done. And I'm always doing research and always learning new things. So it's taken me so many years to write it because I'm just always learning more things. But I see now that, you know, it's definitely must be done, and it almost is. But the use of jade eggs and yoni eggs as documented by the Taoists goes back thousands of years, and it was kept secret. It was only for royal women, certain women. Most women in China did not know anything about it, and they still don't. If you go to Chinatown and try to find jade eggs or talk to them about it, they will have no idea what you're talking about. And it's hard to find good jade in China. I don't get my jade from China. I get my jade from Mexico. I actually don't trust getting it from China. And yeah, over the years, and I do know other people who teach about the egg and sell eggs who I highly respect. And I do think that, you know, they're cut out for that. And there's other people I feel like who just, you know, they just see a business opportunity. And the history of it, though, stone and crystal eggs don't belong to anybody. It is an ancient practice, and I've always believed that the world would be a better place if all women had a relationship with the cosmic yoni egg. And I have lots of videos on that topic. And so I just wanted to do a brief video on the history of it. Also saying that there was another woman who took my class in Costa Rica who had told me that an old woman in Mexico had given her an obsidian egg to work with. This woman hadn't read any Taoist stuff. Most of that stuff isn't translated into Spanish. She was an old Mexican grandmother. And this is in 2010 as well. And now, since then, I know of a woman. There's a woman in Mexico who teaches about obsidian eggs, and she wrote a book. It's in Spanish. And she basically says that everybody should work with obsidian. That obsidian is the only one that's worth working with. And like I said, I don't have that opinion. I don't think that it's only jade or only obsidian or only rose quartz. I think it really depends on the person and the medicine that they need. And I go more into that in my egg basics video, my Yoni egg sizes video. So definitely check that stuff out. And a lot of my knowledge and what I'm going to share about the sizes, I have shared it in one of my YouTube videos, but what I will share in my book and what I will go into is the fact that, what I know about the sizes and my approach to it has a lot to do with my knowledge of muscles to begin with. Okay, like I said, I do have a background in fitness. I do have a background in exercise science. And so I know anatomy very well, kinesiology, muscle physiology. So I understand that from that point. So when it comes to like progression into vaginal weightlifting, I have my own approach that I did not learn or study with anyone. There's a woman in Russia who has the holds the record for vaginal weightlifting. I'm not sure what she uses, if she's using an egg or what, but I can tell you Russians are hardcore. They're the ones that invented the whole protocol on training athletes. I'm a strength and conditioning specialist, and everything that we do, like in terms of training people to perform better, comes from Russia. So they're some of the hardest hardcore trainers on the planet. But the thing that I've noticed from training with Russians and pole dance and other things is that what they think is beginner is advanced for most people. And so I've never trained with that woman, but I know people that have, and it seems that like she teaches to start with vaginal weightlifting from the beginning. And I can say I definitely don't think that that's a good idea. Some women can start with vaginal weightlifting from the beginning if they have that strength, but a lot of women can't do that, and it can end up getting injured. So in order to prevent injury and to make sure you don't injure yourself, I suggest a progression to be sure. As a strength and conditioning specialist, that's what we do. At all my years of training, I've never had somebody get injured training with me and lifting heavy weights because of understanding progression. So these are all the things that I will be discussing in my book. And yeah, so other than that, I have an online video class, Sacred Yoni Power, and then I have another one for vaginal weightlifting, an advanced one for working with 2 eggs and vaginal weightlifting. Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say. I don't think so. Just that I do think it's a great thing that Yoni eggs are becoming more known. Back when I started in 2005, nobody was really talking about it, and the women who were doing that work, to me, they weren't that vocal. Like, I felt like I wanted to shout it to the world. Every woman should know about this, you know. And I really stayed that way for years. So out of 8 years of teaching, there's stuff that I've learned from teaching women that's invaluable. I've worked with mothers and daughters. I've worked with teenage girls. I've worked with women post-menopause, women who just gave birth, birth trauma. I'm also a doula, so I understand too, really have a good understanding of how it helps with the birth process and recovery. None of that stuff is in the books that I write. Montauk Chia, Saida, who wrote a great book, they don't speak about those topics. And so those are things I learned from working with women and from my own experiences. And that's what I will be sharing in my book. You can check my links below, and you can see more of my work on Yoni eggs. Okay, so I'm gonna stop now. 25 minutes. Be great. Okay, hopefully you found this helpful. Bye, guys.